I didn't catch my wife cheating through lipstick.
I never thought my marriage would end because of something as small as a receipt. Not a lipstick stain, not a late-night text, not even a suspicious perfume. A folded piece of paper tucked inside my wife's handbag was enough to start a chain reaction that burned my entire life down and rebuilt it from the ashes. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 46, and for nearly 2 decades I've lived by one rule: patterns don't lie. I built a cybersecurity firm in Dallas based on that belief. Firewalls, threat analysis, corporate risk mitigation, that's been my world since my early 20s. I trusted systems more than people, which makes it painfully ironic that the one system I never audited was my own marriage. I met Lauren 8 years ago at a charity gala. She was magnetic, sharp-tongued, confident in the way people with ambition tend to be. She worked in corporate sales, knew how to read a room, knew exactly what to say and when to say it. We married quickly. I told myself it was passion. In hindsight, it was impatience. She had a son, Ethan, who was 11 when I entered their lives. His biological father was a vague story Lauren never liked to revisit. I didn't push, I didn't need to replace anyone. I just wanted to be steady. Ethan grew close to me over the years, closer than he ever was to his mother. He noticed things. He listened. For a long time, everything looked fine on the surface. Lauren's career advanced. My company grew from 10 employees to over 50. Money stopped being a concern. Comfort settled in. And comfort is where people get careless. 3 months before everything collapsed, Lauren changed. She guarded her phone like it was classified information. She started working late 2 or 3 nights a week. Gym sessions appeared out of nowhere. New clothes showed up that I never saw her wear around me. I noticed it all but said nothing. Observation before action, that's always been my rule. The night it unraveled, she came home close to midnight. I offered to take her bag, and she hesitated just long enough to raise my suspicion. A receipt slipped out and landed face up on the kitchen floor, a boutique hotel reservation. Afternoon check-in, weekday, my name wasn't on it. She laughed it off, said it was for a client meeting that needed privacy. The lie was smooth, too smooth. I let it go, kissed her goodnight, and waited. That night, I didn't sleep. I audited. Credit card statements came first, then phone records. Then location data synced to her tablet, which she'd forgotten still shared the cloud with our home system. Patterns emerged quickly, repeated charges. The same number appearing dozens of times a day. Lunches that lasted 3 hours. Hotels she had no reason to be near. The number belonged to Mark Sullivan. Mark wasn't a stranger. He was my business partner's cousin, a guy I'd had beers with, a guy who'd sat at my table during holidays. Betrayal rarely comes from outside the circle. I hired a private investigator the next morning. Not because I needed confirmation, I already had it, but because confirmation isn't enough in court. Truth needs proof. What came back was worse than I imagined. Photos, videos, Lauren and Mark meeting in hotel lobbies, packing garages, restaurants, hand-holding, kissing, familiarity that only comes from repetition. Then came the second betrayal. My partner Brian had been moving money, slowly, carefully, shell companies, false invoices. Funds rerouted to accounts tied directly to Mark. The affair wasn't just emotional or physical, it was strategic. While Lauren distracted me at home, Brian and Mark were preparing to push me out of the company I built. I didn't confront anyone. I waited. When I saw another hotel charge appear same place, same pattern, I knew the timing. I got a key through the investigator's contact. I sat in that room alone, listening to my pulse in my ears. They walked in together, laughing. Lauren's face drained of color when she saw me. Mark froze. No excuses came fast enough. I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. I told them I knew everything. The affair. The money. The plan. I told them the evidence was already with my lawyer. I told Mark his family had been informed. I told Lauren the divorce papers were already drafted. Then I walked out. I didn't go home that night. The next morning, Ethan called me. Lauren had told him a version of the story that painted her as a victim. I met him for breakfast and told him the truth. Every ugly detail. He listened silently, jaw tight, eyes wet. Then he told me something that broke my heart. He had seen them together months ago and didn't know how to tell me. He was afraid I'd leave. afraid he'd lose the only stable parent he'd ever known. I promised him I wasn't going anywhere. The legal fallout was brutal. Brian and Mark were charged with fraud and conspiracy. Lauren's hidden accounts were uncovered. The court didn't look kindly on deceit stacked on top of deceit. She lost nearly everything she thought she was securing. I kept the company. I rebuilt it stronger. I rebuilt myself slower. Lauren disappeared from my life, but Ethan didn't. He stayed. Chose me, calls me dad now, not because of blood, but because of consistency. Sometimes people ask if I regret how cold I was, how calculated. I tell them the truth. I didn't destroy anyone's life. I simply stopped protecting the people who were destroying mine. And for the first time in years, my home is quiet, not with tension, but with peace.